is being recorded.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Vicky.
Just getting everything closed off. Okay, Anna's here, Joe's here. I haven't looked at my emails, so I don't know who else may or may not be joining us. So let's... Oh. All right, let me pin myself and then we will go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, well, as we always do, welcome. This is what, week 4? So plan for today is that we will be talking about the vagus nerve. We are going to do the basic exercise. So has anyone done the basic exercise before, the Stanley Rosenberg exercise? Okay. All right, that's good. It's a lovely exercise to do, especially if we are in shutdown and freeze. So it's sometimes a really great way to just give that body that little bit of the feeling of safety and reposition the head over the spine. So we'll do that today. And talking about the vagus nerve. So 3 things that we need to get done. But before we do that, does anyone have any questions? Anyone got any questions on mini small breath holds or anything that we've done in class so far? Anything? No? I know, Joe, you sent me a... Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I like the small breath holds, so I've been doing those regularly throughout the day, and I've noticed my breathing. I don't feel as breathless, and also where I kind of restrict my, if you want to say, my ribs a little bit, where I put a little bit more pressure on them and make myself work a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you said you can kind of hold yourself in, and that seems to help.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is it wrong to want to wear a like a belly binder or something? Would that help to kind of get a little bit more exercise in?
It would. That Butico belt that I showed you, that is
Okay.
a good reminder. You know, because the thing that you want with that neurological interaction is you want that belt positioned in the right place. So a lot of those back supports tend to go around our belly. And Joe, you actually want anything to be situated sort of right below the chest, right here, because that rib cage expansion is the one that you, like you said, you're getting some really good feedback from that. So I would definitely recommend that Butico belt.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And just as a heads up, don't wear it all day, because remember that, you know, the breathing mechanics is using those breathing muscles and they will get tired. So, you know, just wear it for a couple of minutes and spend that time really thinking about that ribcage expansion, and then take it off and relax and then go back to it. But
very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send. I think I sent you the link to the Butico belt. It's probably they've probably changed it because that was a while ago. But I'll send you another link for that. You may be able to order it off Amazon. If not, it will come from Ireland. So
okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions?
So, can you tell me, Vicky, how long is it possible to wear the Vertigo belt?
I wouldn't wear it for any more than 10 minutes at a time.
And, you know, but many times a day, times. So
you could wear it many times a day as long as you feel up to it. You may just want to use it once a day. But
Mhm.
as I say with everything, um, wearing or doing these a little and often is much better than doing a great long session and then feeling exhausted.
Yes. Okay.
So, may I share with you another modality that I use, and it really doesn't have anything to do with breathing, but I have found it immensely helpful for my post-exertional malaise, and also now that I'm learning about the lymphatic system, it's just sort of a pass on. So if you don't mind me going off piste, I'm happy to share, and if you don't want to hear it, just raise your hands. But any objections, guys? Because we're talking about Buteyko belt, we're talking about things that could possibly help. Okay, so I did a couple of one-on-one sessions with a long COVID MECFS physical therapist. His name is Clayton Powers. He works alongside the Bateman Horn Center, which is out of Utah. They are a clinic that deal nothing but everything is long COVID, ME, and CFS. And he introduced me to compression. They're almost like, they're not leggings, they are compression boots. So I haven't got them in front of me, but they are literally something that you wear on your whole leg. So your foot, your calf muscle, and your thigh is in this boot. You plug the appliance in, and you get this compression action going on through the leg. So one on each leg. And the reason that they are recommending it is because we get a lot of pooling of the blood down in our legs. We also get a lot of pooling of lymphatic drainage in our legs. And this is a very gentle way just to sort of reverse that movement. So we get the legs then pushing the blood up to the heart. And I have been wearing these boots now. They sit right next to my chair that I sit on in the evening. I've been wearing them now for, I think, 2 years. I don't go anywhere without them. If I travel, I wear them on the plane. If I go visit my family, I always take them with them. It is something I do every single day. Some days I only do it for 10 minutes, but some of the times I can do it for 30 minutes. And it has made a huge difference in post-exertional malaise and POTS. So what I'll do is I will put a picture of them in today's class notes. Like I said, it came recommended to me by Clayton Powers. You can look him up. I've also had a couple of my other clients use them, and it has been a game changer for them. And it's, like I said, I think sometimes we don't realize that there are some modalities and tools that are available to us. A lot of athletes use them for recovery, but like I said, we're using them for a very different reason, and they've certainly helped me. So, and the nice thing is you can control the amount of pressure that the boots or the compression actually exhibits on your legs. So anyway, thought I'd share that. Since we were talking about the Buteyko belt, which is pretty much compression around the rib cage, then if you think about the movement of blood and lymph that sort of ends up pooling, and I don't know, if you feel like sometimes your feet get swollen, or even with people with these microclots that they get, the deep vein thrombosis, which is something that a lot of people, it's one of the symptoms that they get. And it's a way of just making sure that you know, you're getting that gentle massage of that area, which is often, you know, if we're seated a lot and we're not moving, it gets compromised. So anyway, compression boots. All right, let's talk about the vagus nerve today. And we're actually going to start by doing this basic exercise. So I have permission to do this. It comes right out of Stanley Rosenberg's book, which is called Accessing the Healing Power of the Vagus Nerve. And one of the reasons that I introduce it in the program is because it is a great, it's such a down-regulating exercise. It's very easy to do. You only need to do it once a day. But often, if you're in that shutdown freeze state, it is a way that just gently introduces a bit of safety to the body. So, like I said, it also helps with stress and, you know, anything else that you're going through. So we're going to learn that first thing, and then I'll talk a little bit about the vagus nerve, and then we're going to do humming at the end of class today. So I'm going to be on time. So what we'll do, we're not going to do any breathing to start with. We're going to go right into this basic exercise. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything about it before. We're going to do it, and then I'll tell you about it afterwards. Otherwise, you will have a loop going on in your mind about, what's supposed to be happening here? So first thing you're going to do is, if you're both sitting up, so I would like you, number one, to check the range of motion of your neck. So what I mean by this is, just in a seated position, you're just going to take your head, and without going to a place of pain, I would like you to rotate your head to one side and just get an idea of, by a visual idea of what you're looking at. And unfortunately, you're going to have to remember what that place is. And then bring your head back to center. And then you're going to go to the other side. So you just want a guideline of what is the range of motion of your neck right now. Okay, so that's number one. Now, number two, what we're going to do is we're going to take our fingers and our hands, and we're going to weave our hands together, or weave our fingers together like this. And then we are going to place our hands behind our head. So Anna, perfect for you, and Joe, you've got something to rest your head on. But what we're doing here, and I'm just going to move around, is, if you can see my hands, the fleshy part right here is literally hitting this occipital area here, and then my thumbs are going down my neck. Okay. So we're in that position. And Joe and Anna, I forgot to tell you, could you take your glasses off? Sorry. Gosh. Got to do this without your glasses on, and I'll do the same. So we've got our hands here. And then what we're going to do, without moving our head, so our head is supported in our hands on that occipital area. And then we are going to take our eyes without moving our head, and we're going to move our eyes as far as we can to one side. So we're going to look to either the right or the left. And we are going to keep our gaze there while we breathe. So you're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. So you're looking, or changing the gaze with your eyes. Keep nasal breathing. And I don't know how long this will take, but after some period of time, you will yawn or swallow or sigh. And at that point, you can move your gaze back to center. So don't move your head at all. The head stays rested. The only thing that moves are your eyes. So you're moving those eyeballs. You're trying to stare out of the side of your eyes. And then once you've elicited a reaction on one side, you're going to bring your eyes back to center, and then you're going to change direction again. So go to the other side. So you do it once to the right, once to the left, and that is it. And sometimes it takes 90 seconds, sometimes it takes 2 minutes to get that yawn or sigh or swallow. And once that's happened, I can see, Anna, you've dropped your arms down. And it may be that your shoulders need a break. But once you've elicited that reaction on each side, what I'd like you to do is then check that range of motion again in the same way that you did to start with. So like I said, we do this in our own time. So keep nasal breathing, diaphragm breathing, but really the focus is on that eye movement. And then that yawn, swallow or sigh. Just once to each side. And then we check that range of motion again of the neck. You guys have got stubborn vagus nerves. All right, Anna's taking a break. I'm going to leave Joe. So Anna, if you're taking a break, just, okay. And Joe, just so both of you have got your arms down now. So just range of motion to one side, come back to center, and then range of motion to the other side. Okay. So what we've done here is this exercise is known as the basic exercise. I should have said it's easier to do when you're laying down, because then you can literally just lay your head on your hands. But it has a couple of things. It enhances social engagement. It repositions your C1. So your C1 is the top of your cervical spine. It's also the top of your spine. It sits right here in that occipital area. And it repositions C2. And we see that things like trauma will affect the position of C1 and C2. So when this gets out of position, this is an area where the vagus nerve innervates. So when this is out of position, we get that breakdown in communication of what is going on with the vagus nerve. So by repositioning with a very gentle exercise, C1 and C2, then it just sends that signal to the vagus nerve that it can send this communication up and down. And one of the things that we see is there's a change in the like social engagement, so the way our face looks, but also you know that it's working if your neck mobility increases. So I don't know if that happened. It may not happen on the first time. It may be something that you want to try to do when you're laying down, especially if this was a lot of effort. I could see, Anna, this was tough on your shoulders. But just know that it's a nice exercise, maybe to do in bed. And then, you can practice your breathing while you're in this position. So you're just inhaling and exhaling until you get that swallow, sigh, or yawn. And we know, we've had the saliva conversation, that is the body saying, I'm going into that rest and digest. So, guys, did we elicit any kind of reaction? You're on a very tiny screen, so Joe. Yes, that was a hand up. Yes. And Anna, did you notice anything? Did you notice any improvement in range of motion of the neck?
Yeah, it felt good. What was very difficult for me to move the eyes, it hurts a little bit. It was not very, I don't feel very well doing this.
Okay, so that's interesting. Your eyes are muscles. So that's one thing. And also, the anatomy of the eye is also attached into that whole makeup of the vagus nerve. So what I would do, Anna, is back off that. So don't stare. Just think, all right, I'm just going to move it to a range of motion where it doesn't feel like I'm getting eye strain. Because it could be that those muscles are just a little bit weak, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to gently increase that blood flow to the brain. So your occipital nerve actually goes from your eye to that occipital area. So yeah. I do hear a lot of people say that is a real strain on the eyes, because that's another thing we're used to. Even when we close our eyes, guys, we're used to having this visual field that is literally here. And as soon as I say move your vision to here, that becomes quite the strain. So be gentle with yourself. You'll think I am literally the gadget girl, but I am. Full disclosure, let me show you something else that I found on the internet. I'm just going to take my pods off. Lovely little things. Okay, so a couple of things that you can do. If this is too much for your shoulders, you can take 2 old tennis balls, put them in an old clean sock, just tie a knot in the sock, and rest your head or that area on the tennis ball, so you don't have to lift up your elbows. If you are one of these people, and there's a lot of people with long COVID, ME, and CFS that have really bad cervical neck pain, which is this pain that sort of radiates from that occipital nerve here, there is something called the still point inducer. Looks like this. So it's just, this is rubber, nice and soft. And again, you'd be laying down and just put that right underneath that area, so that without having to rest or move your arms, you can just rest that on that. And it's called the still point inducer. So full disclosure, I've had a lot of neck problems. It's actually one of the things that they say could have made us more at risk for long COVID, ME, and CFS, any kind of cervical damage to our neck and spine, even if it was the trauma of birth. So I've read that in the Perrin book. So the Perrin practitioners sort of, one of the things they work on a lot is this area. But if you've had whiplash, concussion, you know, for me, I actually broke my neck. So these are things that they're trying to put together, that this could have been the major communication star of the vagus nerve. And when the vagus nerve is compromised, then we get this breakdown in communication. So that actually goes right into what we're going to talk about today, is the vagus nerve. There's a couple of research papers that have talked about the virus directly infecting the vagus nerve, which I will put a link to in today's class notes. So there is a theory that when we are infected with the virus, the infection place is the vagus nerve. And that's why we get this myriad of symptoms, and we get, you know, just different symptoms throughout our recovery journey. The good news is, don't want to give it all bad news. The good news is breathing is a way to stimulate the vagus nerve, but also to strengthen the vagus nerve. So what we want to do by using these breathing practices, we really want to strengthen that communication pathway. So the breathing that you've already learned has started you on that journey. But the breathing exercise that we're going to do today, humming, is a great way to strengthen the vagus nerve. So just a quick overview of the vagus nerve. I've got to get my little notes out. And like I said, before we got sick, we probably didn't know what the vagus nerve was. We didn't know where it was in the body. The vagus nerve is one of the longest nerves in your body. It literally comes from the brain, and then it spreads throughout the whole of the upper torso. So it spreads all the way down to that, even into our reproductive area. And a well-functioning vagus nerve affects our health, or it affects our physical health, and it affects our mental health, and it affects our cognition. So we know that when we strengthen that vagus nerve, what we're doing is we're just getting that communication that literally comes from the body to the brain. So the vagus nerve is very different from the other nerves in the body, meaning the communication goes from the body to the brain. So it's called afferent. And there's only a little bit of communication that goes via the vagus nerve from the brain to the heart. So brain to heart is like 10% of communication. Body to brain is 90% of the communication of the vagus nerve. So these are some of the symptoms that we can talk about with vagus nerve dysfunction. Difficulties with voice, because the vagus nerve literally comes right down here, and then it comes through this area, this clavicle area. So things like voice, swallowing, shortness of breath, dizziness, tachycardia or heart rate issues, orthostatic hypertension, GI issues, neurocognitive issues, and then reduced emptying of the intestines. All those things are all related to vagus nerve dysfunction. In fact, you can look up in some of these books that are now written about vagus nerve, and the things that are associated with vagus nerve dysfunction actually look like the symptoms that we deal with. Difficulty in, having the right body temperature. So like I said, one of the things that we can do, that we have control over, is that breathing affects our vagus nerve. And the other thing that affects your vagus nerve or strengthens your vagus nerve, so we want things that can have a positive effect on our vagus nerve: grounding. So getting outside and touching the ground. So whether that's the beach or grass or wood, you know, we are just gathering energy from the earth. And I know a lot of people think that just sounds very, very strange. But the way that it works is we know that the earth has an electrical current, it has energy associated, or it's a big ball of energy. I always think of the earth as a great big Advil or ibuprofen. So every time lightning hits the earth, there's a huge amount of energy that is just created and contained in the earth. So then when our body connects through our skin with the earth, we then assimilate some of that energy. And that's what grounding is, literally in a 3 sentence. And we know that because our body is an electrical source, so you think about things like electrolytes and our body rhythms, they are all affected by our body's energy. So the more energy that we can get into the body, the better it will function. So that's why grounding works. So getting outside and just connecting with the earth, and you know, you will assimilate some of that energy. Other things that stimulate the vagus nerve: laughter, singing, and gargling. So if you think about where I said the vagus nerve comes down, so it comes out the brain and it wraps around this area right through here. It also spreads throughout your face. You know, things like gargling, so just having some water in your mouth and gargling, stimulating this bit of the vagus nerve. Singing, there's a lot of long COVID groups that do singing, and then laughter, all stimulate vagus nerve. But then we also know that breathing, you know, this down-regulating breathing stimulates the vagus nerve. And the big thing about why we want our vagus nerve functioning is because it is the main driver of our parasympathetic nervous system. So I've sat here and talked about the vagus nerve. So important. But why is it important to us? Because it drives our parasympathetic system. So when our vagus nerve is not communicating, right, when it's not strong, we tend to get stuck in that fight flight or in that shutdown. So when we strengthen the vagus nerve, we get that communication pathway, sending those right signals. So think of it like a transatlantic cable. All the nerves are sort of bundled together, and they just send that information up to the brain. And then the brain goes, you're safe. So that, in a nutshell, is the vagus nerve. Like I said, in healthy people, they have a healthy functioning vagus nerve. We have seen research that says that the virus has sort of infiltrated or affected our vagus nerve into a dysfunctional way. Okay, questions on the vagus nerve? Any questions on the vagus nerve? Joe's got a question.
Hi, Anna, by the way. I was wondering, you know, when you mentioned about the range of motion, for the past 2 months, my range of motion has become increasingly shorter. And I said, where is this pain coming from? So I started to massage the back of my head by the occipital, and I noticed when I pressed, it almost felt like there was fluid. And when I pressed on it and then I turned, the pain was completely gone, and the range of motion was much larger, wider. But then when I leave it alone, it almost does the same thing again. So I'm thinking, I wonder, is that something to do with it? Could it be that there's a fluid buildup because it's not circulating properly and it's interfering with the range of motion? Because when I press on it, I can move easily. It's when I let go.
Okay.
So and then you mentioned trauma. So I don't know.
Okay, so trauma, Joe, that's a great observation. I'll give you a couple of things that, well, a couple of things that I've read about, a couple of things that I absolutely know. Number one, we know that trauma affects the position of that C1, C2. I can tell you, even one negative thought can affect the position of your C1, C2. So it's almost like we release it, and then because we experience what we experience, we tend to sort of go back there. And over
Mm-hmm.
time, it gets less and it starts releasing. That's number one. So what you just said is it's lovely to hear that this changes, and then unfortunately after a while it will sort of get stuck again.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we know that we didn't know a long time ago, because this is something that has only recently been discovered, is this area, this occipital area, is also an area where our lymph drains. Okay,
Yeah.
so without
Mm-hmm.
going into too much, because I'll give you the heads up. In July, I think I'm going to be teaching a workshop in lymphatic drainage for the face,
Oh,
the
yeah.
neck, and the
Mm-hmm.
head. But I've done a lot of training in lymphatic drainage. One of the areas that we don't realize that lymph drains is right into that cervical occipital area. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like we can feel it. It's like you can take your fingers
Yeah.
back there and suddenly you go, youch, there is a hot spot there. Or you get
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of heaviness there or fluid buildup.
Yeah. Fluid.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you've got lymph nodes there. So we have to have a method, and that's why I'm going to do this workshop, of being able to very gently, because with us, it has to be so gentle and it has to be done in the correct order, that we do a very nice, easy, like I need to be able to release this lymphatic fluid, and I need to be able to get it out of this system and into an area where it can then either get out of the body or go
Mm-hmm.
back to the heart as plasma. So, we have this system
Oh,
which breathing,
okay.
your breath is your lymphatic system pump. So breathing moves lymphatic drainage, but we've got areas that we need to just make space. So if you think about something that circulates throughout the body, the breathing is great, but it's not strong enough. And so we need to create space where, we can make especially from our head, make a space where we can drain, and then the drain goes back down to the heart. So great
Very interesting.
observation that this,
Yeah. It works every time. When I press on it, I'm like, oh, it feels spongy, and it goes down, and then I can move. I'm like, it's so I hold it, and I'm like, there's something going on here. My sisters were telling me maybe your neck is stiff from being bedbound for a long time, and I thought, well, maybe that had something to do with it, where it kind of shifted things because your head was down so much. You're not up moving, and I thought, well, maybe they're right. So could that have played into it? Is that considered a trauma?
oh yeah, yeah. So one of the traumas that we do every single day is this forward head position. So when if I'm sitting on my computer all day, I go into this forward head position, or if I'm on the phone, or, Joe, even if you're laying down all day, we have this musculature around our whole neck. And
Mm-hmm.
if if this is supported all day, it's bad. And if this happens, it's bad. Um, when I broke my neck, I was in a cervical collar for
Mm-hmm.
like I was in a cervical collar for 6 months. When they took that thing off, I could barely hold my head up because this musculature had gone to nothing. So we don't realize that our brain it weighs a lot, so does our head.
Yeah.
This is really important. And the people, you see these people that get very tense here, and then this gets tense, and then we start doing this, and then you get this area here gets very tense. So it's all kind of connected, but I will go back to that, talking about that lymphatic drainage. It's really important that this lymph system, and, you could almost say that the vagus nerve, they're not the same thing, but they are at the same party. So I could say cardiovascular system, think about your cardiovascular system, it runs throughout your body. Then you've got your lymph system that runs throughout your body. And you've got your vagus nerve that runs through most of the body. They align with each other. So when you look at them on a skeleton or on anatomy, they're sitting right next to each other. And I just think it's, people say, well, it's a vagus nerve. Yeah, but it could be vagus nerve, but it also could be, like Joe, you just said, I've got just a whole bunch of lymph fluid here. But on the flip side of that, I've seen many people, and I was one of them, go and get a lymphatic drainage massage. And I thought, that's got to get rid of all those impurities that have built up since I've been sick. And, we kind of know that we've got this lymph area here, right? We know that this is lymph drainage, and we know that we've got this area right between where our legs and our torso, right in your hip socket,
Right.
And we've got them here and behind our knees and right up here. And sometimes people go and get a lymphatic drainage, and it makes them feel so much worse. And it is
Yeah, I've
literally,
heard that.
yeah, we don't have the
I do
energy.
it every day, and I don't know if I'm doing it right. I mean, I watched someone it was on YouTube, and she actually works with cancer patients and talked about lymphatic drainage, how we don't start here, we start here. And
Yep.
so I do it every day, but I'm thinking, am I messing this up? Because am I doing this wrong? So I'm a little leery, and I will not go for lymphatic drainage because I've heard horror stories about it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find out who can show me the correct way without it becoming dangerous or backfiring on me.
Well, Joe, I will raise my hand that when I first heard about it, because I think, when we go through this, we are looking for ways, we're looking for modalities that can support our healing. And when I first heard about lymphatic drainage, I was dry skin brushing, and I was doing the big six, and I was doing some other stuff. And then, of course, I learned all about the glymphatic system, which we'll talk about next session, because it's all about the drainage of the neurotoxins that happen when we're asleep. But I'll raise my hand. I was doing it wrong because I didn't understand the anatomy of the lymphatic system. And now I understand it. It's like, okay, this makes so much more sense. It's not just starting at the feet and working up towards your heart. It's making space in the body where the fluid can go, and then
Right.
opening up the channels so that it can then flow through those.
Exactly. Yes.
But these things here that belong to us are so much more powerful than a practitioner, because we know that we don't have to, if I'm doing lymphatic drainage on me, I don't have to be digging in here because that hurts. I can do a nice gentle movement.
Exactly. Yeah.
And and I don't need to do it 20 times. Maybe a healthy person can. I can do it 5. That's perfect for me. So like I said, we'll talk about the glymphatic system because that's only just been, I mean, that was only discovered in the 1990s. So what a new system that we didn't even understand existed in our brain. But it was clearing, it's a way of clearing that neurotoxic buildup that as a human being, we are accumulating throughout the day. So, you know, and that is one of the reasons that sleep is so important for us. So important for us. So, anyway. All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, it is the parent technique is something like this, because it reminds me, I do go there to the osteopath every 2 weeks, and every evening before I go to sleep, I have to do my own massage. She showed me. She really, I have a paper, but she showed me how to do it, and I do it. And the last days, the last thing I do is massage with a breast, and this is really, I feel that there's happening something in my body, and yeah,
It is.
But because you told if you can make it wrong, but maybe this is the reason, because the osteopath, she shows me how to do it right, correct, huh? Yes.
Yeah, the parent practitioners are, I mean, their specialty is working with ME, CFS, and long COVID. They know the importance of those different areas. I know exactly what you're talking about, Anna, because I used a parent practitioner many times when I was sick, and now I can do that self-massage. But they are using those same techniques. But there are other ones that are not, you know, there's parent and then there's lymphatic drainage, and, you know, they are slightly different. So you can start sort of bringing them all together without going into overload. But I know, yeah, the first time, I'll share my little story and then we'll hum. The first time I ever had parent, I was like, oh my God, this is literally the most gentle. It was like someone took a feather and they were doing this, you know, they do this movement of literally all over the body, Joe. And if you haven't had it, you'll just sort of imagine someone doing this and then doing this and doing this. And I'm like, really? I just paid $100 to be moved with a feather. And my practitioner told me, she said, you may feel nauseated, or, you know, you may get a skin reaction. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me. You know, you haven't even done anything. I was 15 minutes in the car on the way home and I was so nauseated. I got home the next day. I literally woke up, that whole breast area was just like red. It was that lymph, you know, it was like those toxins that had come up to the surface. It took me a day and everything was fine. I have always been a fan of the parent, but you have to experience it. And you have to have someone say, you know what, for some people it works, and other people, they're like, yeah, didn't really help me. But I will always share my little stories. But I literally was like, I can't believe this is going to work. And it elicited what they call a Hertz reaction. You know, the flu-like symptoms, the detox that we have to be so gentle with. So anyway, all right, ladies on camera, let's talk about humming. This is our breathing exercise for today. And why are we learning all about humming? Because humming is a great way to stimulate the vagus nerve. So has anyone done humming? Anna, done any humming?
I liked your videos so much. You have for free in the internet, and there you did it with humming, and I like it so much. And it's so
Okay.
beautiful. So yeah, it's fine.
Thank you. Joe, have you done any humming?
I haven't done any formal humming. I just hum a song in the car. That's about it. I just hum.
Okay.
Whatever comes through, I just hum. But I don't know if there's a right way to do it. But I'm like, makes me feel good.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you're on track. That's but it's weird because that's one of the wonderful things about humming. Joe just said, I hear a song, I hum to it. It actually makes you feel good. Usually, you never hum when you're sad. You hum when you feel something. It's like, oh, I'm just going to hum along. But there are some physiological reactions to humming. So we know that humming stimulates the vagus nerve. So when we hum, you can feel this sound vibration right through your neck. It will decrease your stress level. It will increase your levels of nasal nitric oxide, which we talked about how that improves oxygen delivery to your cells. It decreases your blood pressure, decreases your heart rate. It helps improve lymphatic circulation, because guess what, guys? You've got lymphatic nodes right here. So, or lymphatic sort of vessels right here. So helps with lymphatic drainage. Also increases our levels of melatonin. We know that melatonin, when produced in the evening, is going to help us sleep. And it also increases that feel-good hormone, the oxytocin. So there are many, many benefits of humming. And literally, you can do it however it feels good to you. So Joe says she hums along to a song. That's perfect. That's just humming. One of the reasons that it helps with the stimulation of the vagus nerve and it helps with our breathing practice is, without thinking about it, it's going to naturally increase the length of our exhale. So we're going to hum together. You both, if you want to, if you're in, an area where there's people around you, you might want to try it at a different time. But humming is literally just a natural, longer exhale. It is important to keep your mouth closed. So you inhale normally and quietly. And as you exhale, you just make a sound. So it's like inhale through the nose. And then as I exhale, I'm just going to exhale as if I'm just, or I'm going to make that sound just as if I'm exhaling. I'm not trying to do the world's longest exhale. I'm trying to attach a sound to my exhale, and then it's a silent inhale, and then a sound on the exhale. So we're not trying to create air hunger. We're not trying to create, like I said, the world's longest exhale. We're just trying to do this natural extended exhale. You can try different sounds. You can do oohs, obviously with your mouth closed. So ooh, you can do e's, you can do ahs, you can do tunes. Whatever works for you. I used to love doing it in the bath. I'd put my fingers in my ears and I would hum in the bath, and that sound vibration making the water move was so therapeutic for me. But some people enjoy putting their fingers in their ears because it intensifies the sound. The other thing that you can do is you can also send that exhale to a different part of your body. So if you're if you're experiencing cervical pain, you could actually think, all right, I'm going to send that sound to that area that needs just a little bit of help today. Or maybe it's my vagus nerve. I'm going to send that sound. I'm going to focus that sound here. Maybe it's my heart today. Maybe it's my belly. So that is the hum. So guys, do you want to do it for about 5 minutes? Are you okay? Or do you want to do it on your own and report back on Wednesday? It's your choice. I don't want people to go over. So I'm going to do thumbs up for now, thumbs down. Okay, 2 thumbs up. Okay, here we go. All right, so you're going to find, and we'll go straight into it. So remember, no air hunger. Everyone's on mute. I'm not doing this, but just a normal inhale. Think about that expansion of your belly if you can. And then exhale, just allow that breath to leave with a sound. So I would do it with your eyes closed, fingers in ears. Making sure that tongue is resting on the roof of your mouth. Your shoulders are relaxed. You can be as loud or as quiet as you like. And just bring your attention to that exhale, just making sure that it's nice and smooth. And also that your inhale is smooth. And if you want to send that sound vibration to a different part of your body, I always suggest just moving a hand to that part of your body you want to send that sound vibration to, if it's available to you. So if it's your heart, put your hand on your heart, send that sound there. If it's your belly, put it hand on belly. If it's your neck, just rest your fingers on your neck. If you feel like you have tension, headache, you put your fingers right up there and send that sound vibration up there as you're humming, or in the back of the neck. So it's knowing that you are always in control here. So your lips, your face are relaxed. Relax everything. Relax your shoulders. So just do a little bit of body awareness here. So we're always asking ourselves, does this feel good? So if you are overactivated, maybe take a break. For some people, they like to do a normal breath and then a hum. So it's always very malleable. You can change this to suit your body. It might be a couple of hums and then a rest. Remembering the signals of, does our body like this? Increase in saliva, that feeling of calm, that slowing of that mind chatter. Maybe the slowing of your breathing and heart rate. And then also notice if it doesn't just gently extend your exhale just a little bit. So let's just do one more round of humming. And then just silently, without any judgment, just notice your breath now, or notice how your body feels. So just a normal inhale with shoulders relaxed. And then your normal exhale. And then when you're ready, if you've got your eyes closed, just gently open your eyes. And even though you've hummed before, you now know the benefits of humming. There's a book I read, and I don't think I shared it with you. It is called, it's sitting on my bookcase, The Humming Effect. That's what it's called. And I'll put it in the class notes. It just backs up what we've said. Humming is good for us. So just find what works for you. Just be aware that if you are in, if you are in that shutdown, this may be over-activating. So one of my recommendations is to break the hum up, meaning do one, do a normal breath, do one, do a normal breath. So just be aware that, we introduce these exercises, but they can be used appropriately, or they might not be suitable for us in every situation. So just be very gentle with yourself. So a little and often. The basic exercise, you do just need to do once a day. Don't overdo that. So just be aware of all of those little modalities we talked about today. Okay. All right, on Wednesday, we're going to start talking about sleep. We're going to do 2 sessions on sleep because it is so important, but I will look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. Okay.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Bye, Anna. Thank you.
Lovely
All right.
to see you
Take care. We'll
today.
see you.
I love my little group.
Bye-bye.
So cute.
Me
Bye.
too.